For more than 4 decades, Jim Carrey has been the man who made the world laugh, even when it didn't feel like laughing. His elastic expressions, unpredictable energy, and almost supernatural ability to transform into any character made him one of the most bankable and beloved stars in Hollywood history. But behind every outrageous performance, behind every wide grin and explosive burst of comedy, there was something else, something much quieter, much heavier, and far more human. From the beginning, Carrey's rise looked like a miracle. A young boy from a struggling Canadian family who used humor not because it was fun, but because it was necessary. His father lost his job, the family fell into poverty, and Jim, still just a teenager, worked nights as a janitor to help keep the lights on. Laughter became his way of survival. Comedy wasn't just a dream, it was a lifeline. As he entered Hollywood, he brought that same frantic energy, turning pain into punchlines, chaos into comedy. Audiences saw a force of nature. Studios saw a guaranteed hit. But friends and colleagues saw something deeper. Many have said that Jim's performances were too good, that the madness he unleashed on screen came from a well far darker than the public ever understood. What people didn't know was that off-camera, Jim Carrey battled profound emotional lows. His fame exploded almost overnight, but with it came a loneliness and internal pressure he could never fully outrun. He often described himself as playing roles not just for films, but in real life too. Each smile carefully crafted, each joke hiding another layer of exhaustion, grief, or uncertainty. Over the years, Carrey began hinting that the mask he wore, the one that made millions laugh, was slowly slipping. Interviews became more philosophical, even cryptic. He spoke openly about depression, about losing himself in characters, about questioning the very meaning of identity. And while the world continued to see him as Hollywood's eternal funny man, Carrey himself felt he was drifting further from the person everyone believed him to be. This is the part of Jim Carrey's life the cameras never captured. The part that reveals the truth behind the laughter. The part that shows the real man behind the mask, Ace Ventura, and every unforgettable character he brought to life. And now, at 61, Jim Carrey is finally ready to speak honestly about what he has hidden for so long, confirming what many suspected but never fully understood. As Jim Carrey's fame skyrocketed, he became one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces. But behind closed doors, that level of stardom became a weight he could no longer ignore. The success everyone envied carried a shadow none of them could see. Every blockbuster, every roaring audience, every interview filled with laughter only pushed him deeper into a place he struggled to climb out of. Carrey often said that fame was like a funhouse mirror, distorting everything around you until even your own reflection looks like a stranger. And slowly, that distortion began to consume him. The man who seemed unstoppable was quietly unraveling under the pressure to stay Jim Carrey, the character the world expected him to be. The relentless schedules, the constant expectations, the need to always perform, it took its toll. Jim began slipping into long periods of isolation. He described waking up and not knowing which version of himself he was supposed to be that day. Was he the comedian, the movie star, the inspiration? Or was he just a man who felt increasingly lost? Friends noticed changes. His humor became sharper, more philosophical. His public appearances grew unpredictable. Some called them strange, others called them profound. In truth, he was wrestling with questions that terrified him. Questions about identity, purpose, and whether the life he had built was ever truly his. He spoke openly about depression, calling it Your body telling you it doesn't want to be the character you've been trying to play. And while his honesty inspired millions, it also revealed just how long he had been fighting in silence. Tragedy only deepened the spiral. Personal losses, painful relationships, and the crushing scrutiny of being a public figure pushed him further into the darkness he had spent years avoiding. His art began shifting too, his paintings turning raw, emotional, and filled with symbolism that hinted at a man desperately searching for meaning. At the height of his career, when the world thought he had everything, Jim Carrey felt like he was losing the only thing that mattered, himself. But this wasn't the end of the story. Because what came next would completely transform how Jim Carrey saw his life, his career, and the person he truly wanted to become. At 61, Jim Carrey finally stepped forward and revealed the truth he had been carrying for decades. Truths about fame, identity, pain, and what truly matters after a lifetime spent behind masks. The world celebrated, but he no longer wished to wear. In a series of candid interviews and quiet reflections, Carrey explained that turning 60 acted like a key unlocking every door he had kept sealed shut. He said he no longer felt the need to chase applause or live up to the electric whirlwind of characters that made him iconic. For the first time, he allowed himself to simply be human, flawed, healing, and free. Jim revealed that he had spent years searching for something beyond fame, peace. Not the temporary kind found in success, but a stillness rooted in truth. He described fame as a giant puppet show, entertaining, dazzling, but ultimately hollow. "I spent so long creating characters," he said, "that I forgot how to just exist." What shocked fans most wasn't his honesty about struggle, but his clarity about life's meaning. Carrey shared that the darkest moments of his life became the turning points that reshaped him. Through loss, heartbreak, and deep reflection, he discovered that identity isn't something you perform, it's something you uncover. He turned to painting and spiritual exploration, calling them his lifelines. His artwork, bold and unapologetically emotional, revealed the inner storms he had survived. He spoke of compassion, forgiveness, and letting go of ego, the very things he once believed success required him to protect. Then came the revelation that truly surprised the world. Jim admitted he no longer needed Hollywood. He felt fulfilled stepping away from the spotlight, choosing authenticity over fame. "I've done enough," he said. "I am enough." It was a simple sentence, but for a man who built his life on larger-than-life characters, it carried the weight of a lifetime. He revealed that happiness didn't come from applause, awards, or box office records. Those were temporary highs. True joy, he said, came from connection, creativity, and finally being honest with himself. Jim wanted to live a life defined not by characters, but by consciousness, purpose, and genuine presence. And that's when everything changed. The world realized that Jim Carrey's greatest performance wasn't a comedy or a drama. It was the act of removing the mask entirely. At 61, he didn't just reveal his truth. He reminded millions to look for theirs. Jim Carrey's journey reminds us of something Hollywood often forgets. Behind every legend is a human being searching for meaning, peace, and truth. His laughter shaped a generation, but his honesty may inspire the next one. If his story moved you, taught you something, or helped you see him in a new light, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories about the icons we thought we knew, until the truth finally came to light.